Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On the Spot, my brand new sports debate show where me and my friends are going to be arguing our opinions to several questions across all sports. On today's episode, will Lamine Yamal end up with a bigger legacy than Kylian Mbappe?
It will be Mbappe. He just has more on his CV.
Who was the best World Cup winning side from the last 15 years?
It was a tiki-taka masterclass from start to finish, I thought.
And will Cesc Fabregas become a better manager than Vincent Kompany?
If you look at any of the top managers, none of them really have a relegation on their portfolio.
Let's talk about it on today's episode. Right, so okay guys, welcome to our brand new series. Today I'm with three fellow football fans. Daniel, you guys have already met him through other podcasts, but we've got two new guys today. Deva and Varun, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Varun and I support FC Barcelona.
Hi, my name is Deva and I support Liverpool.
Okay, perfect. So basically, guys, we're going to take turns to give our opinion on every single question I've got planned for us. We're going to give each other our answers at the same time. Then we're going to take turns to basically fight it out and prove whose debate is the best. It's not about whose order you agree with. It's about who fights their opinion the best. So we've got about 5 questions here. We're going to do one example to teach you guys how it works. You guys are also going to be able to vote in the comments below. So please let us know whose order you agree with and also who argues each opinion the best, because there will be some silly arguments here and there will be some orders that you really agree with. But today's one is based on iconic moments. So things that have happened in the past that are really memorable, things that will happen in the future that are memorable, not necessarily about who's the best, but what is iconic. So to start with, the example question today is not actually based on iconic, it's more to do with our lives. 4 of the biggest teams in Europe, which of these 4 teams would you want to join the most right now? If you were a youngster, just graduated from academy, which one of these clubs would you guys want to join? So let's rank them 1 to 4. We've got Manchester United, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Paris Saint-Germain. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Let's have a look at everyone's orders. So Varun, me and you've both gone for Bayern Munich in first place.
Yeah.
Daniel and Deva have gone for PSG. So the most interesting one, I think, talking point of all of this is I've got Man United last. Varun, you've got them second. What's your biggest reason to have Man United that high up? Because Daniel has them second as well.
Yeah, well, I just think in general, they actually have a very strong culture of just promoting youth players. It's obviously debatable whether they've gone on to be like extremely successful superstars. But I think in terms of, turning academy players into like decent level professional players, they have a good history of it. They've done that with, Beckham. They've done that with Scholes, Giggs. They've done that with Neville. And I think they've kind of defined that pathway for those young players into the first team. So that kind of philosophy has given a lot of the young talent, like a lot of opportunities. And because it's, I guess, like at the highest level, the best league in the world, it kind of creates a lot of pressure for these players, and that's where they thrive. So they're able to perform really well under pressure-filled environments. But obviously, like lately, I can say the club, they've kind of invested a lot of money in a lot of expensive transfers, but
I'll be honest, that's exactly why I've got them last. I would not
they've also
them right now.
limited openings for like a lot of youth players coming through the academy. But I can understand why others wouldn't rank them as high. But there's a reason. That's mainly because of the history that I've put them second.
Yeah, I mean, I know that is a good point, but the only thing is I did see recently that a lot of their players who have come through the academy have actually not done that well. Garnacho is going to get sold. Rashford has now got loaned out. He'll get sold as well. We all know what happened with Mason Greenwood. It hasn't been that good of a storyline for their academy recently. I just think Man United's career suicide for anyone right now to be good there. I think that's what Deva's gone for as well. Deva, why have you gone for PSG in first place over a Bayern Munich like me and Varun have?
Well, I just think that it was always going to be Real Madrid and Man United 3rd and 4th, just because of my personal preferences. I don't really like those 2 clubs supporting Liverpool. I picked PSG first because for one, it's a much easier league than Bayern Munich. I get the Bundesliga obviously isn't the best league in the world, but it's definitely a step up from Liga. And the amount of talent in recent years that's come out of Liga, you've got the likes of Ryan Shirky who's gone to Manchester City. Even if you go further back, you've got players like Aubameyang, Eden Hazard to come out of the French league. And I think because it's PSG as well, they win the league very comfortably every season anyway. So you definitely see yourself getting much more opportunity towards the back end of the season compared to like a Bayern Munich, who, in the past 3 or 4 years don't really give many chances to the youth, especially in the cups. So that's why I went for PSG first. I think it's just proven track record of the French league having so much talent.
That's fair. Daniel, any other different reason why you've gone for PSG first?
Yeah, so what I also want to mention is that a fun fact is that Paris is actually the city with the most players currently playing the top 5 leagues. So basically, the highest amount of players born in one city who currently play in the top 5 leagues is Paris. And there's a lot of reasons for that. First, Paris is a megapolis, so it's a great place for anyone to thrive in, really. Whereas Manchester and
I agree. I would not want to live in Manchester, man.
yeah, Manchester, I would never want to live in, to be honest. I did put them second because of their historical success, but realistically, I would never want to live in Manchester. But yeah, also, like, you saw how good PSG were this season, and they mainly relied on young players like Doué and Barcola, although he came from Lyon. But still, although Doué
That is the question, essentially. Like, where would you want to join if you're a youngster?
That's actually an interesting point.
Plus, I think
I actually don't.
Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, to be fair, like, it's PSG is a great place to like develop your career, like after you get promoted from the academy. But I guess in academy-wise, I can't really think of that many like great graduates that they've hit over there.
And they had Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons was in their academy for a while.
PSG, yeah.
Ekitike was there at the start of it. Obviously, he went to Reims after that, but he was at PSG when they had Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar.
But they have a very good track record of
in their
the first team.
In the Champions League final that they just smashed it into Milan, and they had that Mayulu fella who came on and scored. He's from the academy.
Yeah, he looked very good actually. Yeah. After these 4 places, which city do you think is the best to live in?
I think Paris.
Over Madrid?
I think Madrid. If you're ranking purely off of city, it has to be Madrid.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I think that personally, Bayern Munich, like on the point that Deva said that the league's easy right now, Dortmund are probably Bayern's biggest competitors for Bundesliga this season. Leverkusen have sold all their biggest talents, and they got Ten Hag as manager. Dortmund have got a good prodigy going through, but unfortunately for them, it is Bayern's league to dominate for the next 5 years, probably at least. So you'd go there probably expecting titles, and they've got a lot of spaces in their team right now compared to PSG. I think PSG's team is quite full. That's the only reason I went for Bayern over PSG. Whereas Bayern Munich are still looking for a backup attacker, backup winger everywhere. The squad's not as complete. And I think they've got a goal of trying to win the Champions League for the first time in 5-6 years now. Whereas PSG won it last year. They're looking to dominate, and they've got the perfect squad for that. So that's why I'd go for that. But that was pretty good arguments. But let's move on to the first proper round now. And considering the World Cup is about to come at the end of this season, the 2026 World Cup in USA and Mexico, I thought let's have a look at the last 4 winners of the World Cup and rank them based on whatever you want to rank it on, really. Is it the most iconic, the best team? You choose. But the last 4 winners of the World Cup were obviously Argentina of 2022, France of 2018, the German side of 2014, and Spain of 2010. So let's have your rankings from 1 to 4.
Wow.
Okay, so
Wow.
Very interesting there. So to start with, definitely, Deva, you've gone for Spain in first. I've gone for Spain in last. I think that's very contrasting. So Varun's got them third, Daniel's got them second. So we've all got Spain in a different position here. Deva, you got them first. Why is Spain the best team?
Well, I chose to rank over which is the best team. And I think that the football that Spain played in that tournament was absolutely incredible. It was even just that period between when they won the Euros in 2008 and the Euros in 2012. I think that's one of the best international sides I've ever seen. You know, they had one of the most iconic midfield trios of Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, and managed to work Xavi Alonso in there as well. I mean, it was a tiki-taka masterclass from start to finish, I thought. So that's why I put them first.
I think it was Barcelona that won the World Cup, not Spain.
That's a big reason why I had Spain last. Not just that, but I think for me, Argentina is the most iconic winner of all this, mainly because Messi finally won the World Cup and the amount of people who wanted to see it. The final, we can all agree, was the best final I think we've all witnessed in our lives. Maybe that's also due to France and how well they played in the second half of the final. I also think the Argentina side, even though it is not as good as the Spain side, it was also quite successful in that they won the Copa America and they won the Finalissima against the Italians,
on
I
a
think.
3-year winning streak or something as well.
Yeah, they were very, very good. And with probably one of the most promising international managers of all time in Scaloni. I've gone for Germany in second, mainly because in terms of iconic moments, I can't think of a more iconic result than the 7-1 against Brazil. Like, if I was to ever tell my kids in, I don't know, 30 years' time, what was the biggest World Cup moment? I was like, that's the biggest surprise for me I think I've ever seen. Brazil were the huge favourites of that World Cup. Yes, Neymar was injured for that match, but to smash them 7-1 in the home stadium, I think is huge. I've only got for France over Spain mainly because of the huge song that the French team had after the World Cup. I think they were a very good team, don't get me wrong. Spain are the better team than France, for sure. But that World Cup was good. But in terms of iconic results, iconic moments for Spain, there weren't really that many compared to France. France, they played a good final against Croatia. Yes, it was 4-2. I think it was a good result. But their players they had, a promising Mbappe, the song that everyone can remember, every single player who played for their team, probably forever because of kind of media that came around it. I would say theirs is slightly more iconic as a tournament than Spain was. That's what I would go for. Daniel, you got for Germany first. Why is that the case?
I mean, the way I rank them is I basically rank them on how dominant they were in the World Cup that they won, and I think that Germany were by far the most dominant when they actually won the tournament. Because so out of the 4 teams, actually only 2 of them went unbeaten, and that was Germany and France, and which is why I have them both pretty high up. And I mean, as you said before, the 7-1 against Spain, not against Spain, against Brazil was one of the most memorable results probably in football history ever. Yeah. And also they dominated the group stages. They dominated every other game. Only game they really struggled was the final, which I mean is understandable. But even then they won in extra time, so that was all right. And the one that I actually ranked last was Argentina, which is a bit controversial, but I'd say like I ranked them last because they had a very easy group stage, and then yet they still lost against Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And they barely scraped by in pretty much all of their games. Like they barely beat Australia, where like if Garanko had scored in the last minute, they could have gone to extra time and gone out. Then they also struggled against the Netherlands. They beat Croatia pretty comfortably, to be fair. And then in the final, we obviously know what happened, where they had to win on penalties. So
yeah, but I also feel Argentina, they had a very good versatility, and they had like a really good strength of resilience and leadership, which is why like people, I guess people don't tend to see that, even though yes, they're not the best team on paper. They kind of outshone those kind of teams such as the Netherlands, and like everyone, because after that Saudi Arabia game, everyone was just writing them off, saying that they're going to get out of the group stage. You know, Mexico's going to knock them out. Netherlands is going to beat them in like 90 minutes. And it was just moments like that kind of pushed them to get even further and get better every single game. And I think that's what happened with Argentina. But yeah, I still have them second. So
I mean, the thing with the Argentina team for me is that I thought they were so reliant on Messi going for. I mean, I know they had Alvarez and McAllister that stepped up in some of the knockout games, but pretty much everything good that came from Argentina going forward was from Messi in one shape or form. So I just thought.
And I was going to say, I don't think Di Maria gets enough credit for what he does for Argentina. He wins
I don't think. I mean, he scored in the final, but apart from that, I genuinely.
He scored in the Copa America final as well. Messi didn't.
Yeah. But are we counting the Copa America?
As a side, I think. I mean, if you counted Euros,
he has been influential.
No, I didn't count. I was just making the point that
they're the best team. I understand. Yeah,
Messi for the longest time as well. So.
Also, I would say that Argentina were definitely the weakest defensively out of the 4. I'd say Spain were the strongest defensively, and Argentina.
I'd say France are the strongest defensively.
No, I'd say Germany is the strongest.
France were really boring in the whole tournament. They played so defensive, and they barely conceded.
Spain didn't concede in the knockouts in the entire tournament. They kept 4 clean sheets in a row in the 2010 World Cup knockout stages. So.
But that was
based on footballing ability. Who would we have first? If these teams played each other in a two-match tournament,
if you're saying,
I think Spain would win.
Oh yeah, Spain in terms of football.
would pass
I,
them
would,
off
I
the
think Spain
park.
would win as well. Yeah,
Spain would
That's
pass
what I
everyone
had
off the
to-
park, I think.
Actually, I think because the thing is, right, when Spain played Germany in that 2010 semi-final, they won by, I think it was a 1-goal deficit.
It's Carlos
And-
Puyol, yeah.
Yeah, they beat
Yeah.
everyone by a 1-goal deficit in the knockout. They
That's
won
why
by
I didn't have them
in a
as
row.
high. That's not for me.
that
I was
Germany
too
team-
young to appreciate that at the time. I wasn't into tiki taka. I was into
They were
goals.
so sound. They were so sound defensively. That Spain team. It was
And that Germany team
incredible.
wasn't actually that different compared to the 2014 side. And
Yeah,
that
you're right.
2014 side had a lot of discipline from their defense all the way up to their attack. Like they had tactical brilliance from what's his name, Yao Shim Lo. I think that's how you say it. He was
Joachim
like,
Low,
Yeah, Joachim Low.
Joachim Lo.
Chinese.
Made up a Italian name. But they were fluid. Like the guy was tactical, and like they were just completely disciplined. Like I think Kroos and Muller were like two of my best players from the 2014 tournament. I think they kind of clicked with everything else, and they kind of had the show going for them. So I think if I would say Spain would play the best football, but I think if Spain 2010 came against Germany 2014, I think it would be a very close matchup.
Maybe another thing to consider is the longevity of that Spain team, because they also won Euro 2008 and Euro 2012.
And 2010.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so they won 3 international tournaments in a row.
Has anyone ever?
Give them-
I don't think anyone's ever done that before, have they?
Yeah.
No, they
I don't
haven't.
think so.
I mean, no one's there even after them. So
Did Brazil
It
win
goes
the
back
Copa
to- my
America?
point goes
between
back to the thing that
1960s?
Varun said at the start, which is relating to was that all to do with the manager of Spain or to do with Barcelona's effect on it? That's why I'm impacting
Well,
it.
what does that mean though? Are we diminishing
As in the
Spain's
Spa- as
achievements
in
because they had a lot of
Spain's
Barcelona
iconic
players?
moments. I don't think there was that
that
many.
represented Spain were Barcelona players.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Are we? What does
And
that
they
mean? Are we
played each
diminishing?
No, I'm
It's
not
not to do with
diminishing
Barcelona being
What's the-
iconic, not to do with Spain being iconic for me.
Yeah,
But
because
it's Barcelona players playing for. It's like saying Germany had a lot of Bayern Munich influence because they had Lahm,
I don't think
Boateng.
they had as much as Spain
No,
did.
no, not as much. But I don't think is it relevant that Spain had a lot of Barcelona in their team?
because I don't think Spain had the tiki-taka philosophy implemented
They didn't, no.
before Barcelona came through. Like before Pep Guardiola had it in that 2009 like system or the team that he had, it wasn't as strong with Spain beforehand.
Was
Like,
Euro 2008 the
I
first thing
agree.
they ever won?
You're
They smashed
right.
Yeah, they won.
I just don't think that means much because they're still doing it for Spain. Just because they've taken
Yeah,
it,
that's
just
like
because they've taken the
saying that West Ham won the
impetus
World
from the club.
Okay, well, that's a lot of good arguments there. But once again, let's analyze who we think won the debate overall there. So moving on from World Cup to Champions League now, we've got a new Champions League format. But I thought let's appreciate some of the Champions League semi-finalists from the last few years, some really iconic Champions League semi-finalists, some underdog teams that went really far. So starting off in 16-17 with the Monaco side. In 17-18, we had the Roma team that reached the semi-finals. 18-19, the Ajax team. And in 21-22 was the Villarreal side. So rank these teams 1 to 4 based on whatever you want to do. Iconicness, the best they played, whatever. As long as you argue your opinion, that's all that matters. Okay, so once again, I said, Varun, you get to start this time. Let's have a look if there's any outside things here first.
me and Devas are the exact same.
Yeah, me and
Okay,
Varun are in the
perfect. So
exact
Varun,
same order.
Deva does agree with you here completely, but I said
Yeah.
you'll go first. So argue your opinion, and hopefully Deva agrees with everything you'll say.
Okay, so I went with Ajax solely because the reason I think they played a very like possession-heavy style football. They had a really intense midfield and attacking display like throughout the entire tournament. Seeing that they proved it by knocking out Real Madrid and Juventus. Like I think they beat them by like a good margin as well. Like they properly outplayed them and they outscored them. And I think what was it when they faced Tottenham? They were losing like on dramatic circumstances on their away goal sorry, but they kind of had like a blend of youth through Eric Ten Hag, which kind of pushed a lot of their academy players into their first team, and that kind of football just made me like properly fall in love because I feel like I was watching Barcelona from 2011 again, and that kind of thrill that I saw was like really memorable. And some of the performances and players that actually came through from Ajax after that season were heavily recognized. Like there was De Jong, there was De Ligt, there was what was his name, Van der Beek. There was like loads of them. So I think they just played really good football, and it was just they were fearless, they were elegant, and their possession style football just dominated the entire tournament. Apart, obviously, when they got from the semi-final.
Are you low-key saying there that you want Erik ten Hag to be the Barcelona manager next? With bring back 2011 style again.
He had the system there. He had his time. That's the end of it. But I went with Monaco second because, first of all, no, I don't think anyone expected that Monaco team to reach those semi-finals, because despite they having such a attack-oriented, like, Kylian Mbappe, they had Bernardo Silva, they had, I think, even Thomas Lemar. I think they were playing really good counter-attacking football, and they kind of proved that even against Man City in the quarterfinals when they knocked them out. And I think that kind of impact that they had on the rest of the teams up to Juventus obviously kind of helped launch Mbappe's career as well. It kind of signaled most of his talent into the world, and from then on I think a lot of other academies and teams started to recognize them even more. So they had a very good, like, exuberant kind of attacking style, and yeah, I just feel like it kind of paid off in the end. I went with Roma third because this one's kind of a hard one, because like it was very iconic obviously, but like their comeback against Barca was like it just wasn't needed. But like they obviously they stood out. They performed actually really well in away games. They had in home games they had a really good record at home, and despite like losing to Liverpool on aggregate, they were like extremely defensive. Yeah, so they had, like, I think what was it? Who was the manager at the time? I can't remember his name.
It was D something. He doesn't manage them.
Yeah,
Di Francesco, yeah.
Di Francesco. So yeah, I think at the time, most of their away games, what they do is like, also what I noticed is like in the first half, they kind of like let the opposition just have their way with them, and then in the second half, they just instantly turn up the heat and they just become defensively to the point where they'd also start being kind of like a high line, and they kind of push their players to press the opposition's defense in a way to actually get them to score more goals. So apart from that, I think like they were extremely underrated during that season, and obviously didn't really make it that far in the end. But they deserved whatever they achieved. And yeah, I went with Villarreal in the end. Like, they were really impressive, but they were well structured. They were disciplined. They played really defensively sound football, even against Bayern Munich and Juventus. I think there was like earlier in the knockout stages. But I think some of their players, like the campaign that they had, was like more of a testament to like the kind of intelligent kind of organization that they had with their team. So their style was very less like flashy compared to like the other big teams that we listed here. But at the same time, like they definitely could have. They performed really well, even in La Liga. I know that's not related, but like they had a really good season by finishing 5th. So yeah, that's my ranking.
Perfect. So Daniel, they were. Why have you gone for the exact same order? Any difference there?
Well, again, I tried to rank them based on the best team rather than the actual Champions League campaign of itself. And that Ajax team, I mean, they did the domestic double in that season, despite getting knocked out in the Champions League semi-final, and they scored 119 goals in the 34 league games, which is like over 3 goals a game average for an entire year, which is just ridiculous. I also ranked them based on how I viewed the squad that they each had, and I just think that Ajax and Monaco squads were just incredibly fun, just with the players that they had. Like Ziyech, Varun mentioned, Ziyech, Tadic, De Jong, Neres, all. They captured the hearts of so many during that year. Same with the Monaco team. Fabinho was one that you didn't mention for that Monaco squad. I mean, Benjamin Mendy, before all the allegations as well, was some player.
Daniel, me and you've got Monaco first. Why have we gone for Monaco over Ajax as the best team?
I mean, I went for Monaco because I think that the players that they had in their squads performed better after leaving Monaco compared to the players who left Ajax.
That's exactly the point I made. Word for word, exactly.
If you look at the Ajax graduates, apart from Frankie de Jong, none of them have actually gone on to like achieve great things. Like De Ligt is currently at Man United, who lost to Grimsby yesterday. So I mean, make of that what you will. And he's had a pretty decent career for Ajax standards. Then Donny van de Beek was a bench warmer at Manchester United. He's now at, I don't even remember where.
I feel so bad for Van de Beek.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for
He
him.
was at Girona.
They played us, last year in the Champions League, and he was there.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, Ziyech has done nothing since then. Like, he left for Chelsea, but he was pretty awful. He scored one nice goal, but that was about it. Then Tadic has also not. I mean, Tadic has been pretty good, but to be fair, he was relatively old in that season. And I mean, in fairness, I think his performance against Real Madrid is one of the only 10 out of 10 performances ever in the Champions League, which should also be taken into account. But I think in general, Monaco's team was better, and also they won a harder league because, or not a harder league maybe, but a more competitive one, because dethroning PSG is not an easy task, and they managed to do it. And as Deva mentioned previously, with
But I don't think you can
record
talk
points.
about their influence after the measure how good those teams were, because if we're talking about the teams that were good in that respective season, like they were standing out amongst the other.
No, but for me,
It's
like,
valid.
I agree with Daniel because
He's looking at
iconic.
players that they had. He's judging them based on the players of the team.
Also looking at players that they've gone after, like after leaving Ajax, because after leaving Ajax, I don't think
A lot of them have, unfortunately, a lot of them have flopped. We've got to be honest.
Yeah, but that doesn't. I don't think that concerns the Ajax team from 18-19, because we're talking about the team that stood out in that respect.
I agree. I agree with both. I think you do consider the players that they were and what they've then gone on to achieve, but I think it should be more weighted based on what they did in the actual season, if that makes sense.
I agree. No, I agree with that to an extent. But for me,
yeah,
I'm more on
I think
Daniel's
that would
side
be a
here.
different argument.
I mean,
because
perfectly reasonable.
They did really well under that system. They were playing really fluid football under Erik ten Hag by knowing each other, because those guys have played with each other even before the 18-19 season for a good couple of years, even in the academy. So I think talking about them or talking about their performances after the season is, I don't know, I feel like it's a bit of a long shot talk, like if you want to talk about impact, in that respective Champions League campaign. So
to be fair, I probably phrased it badly, but what I meant was like how good the players actually were. So like basically how dominant, and I think that's just best. That could be seen the best in how they performed after. So basically, like how we discussed earlier with the national teams about how dominant they each were, I think that Monaco were more dominant in the Champions League than
I
Ajax.
agree, yeah.
But
For me, I would do exact same order as. I think the only thing me and Daniel have got switched is Ajax.
how do you have Roma over Ajax?
I've got Roma over Ajax. Very similar logic to his thing with. No, actually, Roma over Ajax for me is iconic moments. Ajax's most iconic moment that year was unfortunately a negative for them. Roma is a huge positive. The fact that they got one of the best comebacks, I think, in recent Champions League history, defeating a very, very strong Barcelona side, preventing Messi to score one of the most iconic commentary moments, everything. That's why I went for Roma. I think in terms of iconic moments, they had more than Ajax and Villarreal.
But then you put Monaco first.
Yeah,
Monaco first for me because, like I said, they had as a side, they were like Daniel said, they're the best side and the most iconic side, and mostly because a lot of their players went on to achieve really good things. Fabinho won a Champions League, Bernardo Silva very good, Benjamin Mendy won a lot of trophies before he got into everything. Thomas Lemar, Atletico Madrid, they won a league as well. Trying to think of it. Bakayoko's the only one who flopped, I think.
But I feel if you're choosing
They're like
iconic,
Sidibe.
I think you've changed the standard then, because you've gone for a good team with Monaco, but then you've gone for an iconic team for Roma over Ajax.
A good team Ajax.
When
I agree, but I'm also going from iconic results.
Arguably, if you're looking at the most iconic team, I'd say more people remember the Ajax team of 2018-19 than they do the Monaco team of 2 years before.
I think it's a bit debatable between Ajax and Monaco, because I think
that Champions League season was by far the best I've ever seen. And I'm not just saying that because Liverpool won it. I mean, you look at like Man United, PSG, the amount of iconic games that year was just ridiculous.
I honestly think there's a real argument. If you got these four to play each other, I think Unai Emery would do something to make Villarreal beat the other. He's a very, very smart coach in Europe.
Yeah, the Villarreal team.
They wouldn't be watchable, but they would do something to win it.
No matter what metric you use, I think Villarreal are bottom. Like if you look at
That's,
how they
that's
were
just because
as a
we're all into
team,
entertaining football. We're not into
Yeah.
Unai Emery football.
I mean, I watch a lot of La Liga and Villarreal. They're like literally the definition of like a mid-table.
But considering that year they only got into the Champions League, I think, because they won the Europa League the year before.
Yeah.
And they
So-
got it. And they beat Bayern Munich, which was a huge result at the time. No one expected that. And
No
then they
way.
lost to Liverpool very, very close. So they did well.
was it close? It was 5.
Yeah. They were level on aggregate till Liverpool decided to bring off the stance and change it.
Yeah,
They made a really
they had one good half out of 4.
And then they bottled it a little bit in the end. But yeah. So that is the result. So some similar lists there for us, but who do we think debated it the best? Let's move on to signings now. A team that none of us support in Manchester City. I looked at some of their most iconic signings and wanted to get your guys' opinions on who is the most iconic, who's the best value for money out of the following four of their best players of all time, I think, in their history. Kevin De Bruyne for £54 million, Sergio Aguero for 35 million, Vincent Kompany for 6 million, and David Silva for 25 million pounds. All amazing players, but who are we going to have in first place?
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow. Wow.
Whoa.
What?
Okay, so we see a huge divide here. So first of all, Deva and Varun, have you got the exact same?
Wow.
Yes, you do. Deva and Varun have got the exact same again. And me and Daniel have gone for very similar again. So,
Wow.
So Daniel, we'll start with us two first, because I think them two got identical again. So, Daniel, I'm hoping you have similar opinions on me on this. Why have you gone with Vincent Kompany first?
I mean, I went for Vincent Kompany because so one thing that people may not know is that he was actually signed before the takeover. So he was actually the only one left from the team before the takeover, which is something to consider. He's also the cheapest out of the list by a long shot, and he captained the team for a while. I think he's the longest serving out of the list. So that has to be considered in some regards.
Yeah.
Then I went for, I mean, between Aguero and De Bruyne, it's pretty close, to be honest, because they both left a lasting legacy at the club. And I went for Aguero because I'm a Chelsea fan and I'm salty that KDB left. I can't lie. So I don't really have many great arguments for why and yeah, I went for David Silva in last because, I mean, he was obviously one of the best players in the world when he played there, but his longevity wasn't as long-lasting as Kompany or Aguero or De Bruyne, for that matter. So I think that in terms of impacts that the players left on City, I think that Kompany actually left the biggest impact because he was basically with them through the takeover and through everything that happened with the team.
Yeah, I think very similar to that. I think them two having Kompany last, honestly, is a crime, considering he was the cheapest out of the four of them, and he probably did the most for Man City out of all of them.
Talk about like value and impact.
I think price does matter in this a little bit.
Value and impact. I mean, I don't think it's a debate.
Yeah.
That's like
I've heard, like, I understand where Daniel's coming from, but I still don't see how like they were more monumental signings compared to De Bruyne and Aguero. Because like if you think of City, those are like the iconic players you think of when it comes to like bringing around City's success or during the time that they spent there. So like I mean I'm sure like they will expand on it, but like I just feel De Bruyne and Aguero, like it was close between the two, but I kind of went with De Bruyne because like he kind of redefined what the midfield orchestrator can be. Like he had obviously like he had the elite vision, like he's ball deliveries, goals and stuff like that. Even David Silva kind of followed in that same element. But I just feel like in the past 5-6 years, he has been the heart of that City team, and he kind of led them in multiple. I think he won like 2 PFA Player of the Year awards as well, and he also leads the Premier League in most assists in Premier League history as well. And his creative output and influence, just like I don't think like anything else can justify how much of a bargain that is for a player like him, especially when City bought him. So
No, for sure. But I still don't think that Kevin De Bruyne would have signed for Man City if it wasn't for the success of the Vincent Company, Sergio Aguero, and David Silva days. I mean, like, David Silva, I think we've all.
No, but that's not
I've
the
got him
question.
last. I've done him kind of harsh here.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like because you're saying who
Who is
has
the most important signing?
Yeah,
I think Company and Aguero are very, very important signings for the time they came in and what they achieved at the club. De Bruyne came into a team that already won the league and made it win a lot more. Aguero and Company came into a team that was respectfully dreadful and started getting it into the machine that it was. And then
I mean, they weren't even that dominant, even when De Bruyne joined. Like they were good, but when was
when
the
De
last?
Bruyne joined, when De Bruyne joined, I admit the Premier League wasn't anywhere near it when Pep joined. Pep joined, I think, a year or two after. But Pep started winning 17-18. That's when his demolition started. And De Bruyne was good that year. Company was good. All four of these were very good that year. But I think value for money comes into a little bit. That's why I've gone Company kind of high. Aguero, yes, he cost quite a bit at the time. That's still expensive deal when he came in.
Was it 50 million? Or
I've got him down as 35.
30.
That's still a lot for a striker at that time. I'm not going to deny that, but he also gave, I think, the most iconic moment in Manchester City history, which was the goal against Manchester United. Yeah. So when you've got that, that's why I edged him slightly over Company for me. David Silva, I'm doing a lot of injustice to him here because he is one of the most talented players on this list. But I think De Bruyne, because of how much he did, edges him for me a lot here. Why do you go De Bruyne over Aguero though? If that moment's really iconic.
The reason I had De Bruyne first, he's by far their best player in the most successful period any English team has ever had, and he's I think apart from 2018-19, in every single season he was Man City's best player, especially towards the back end of it. Like you think clutch man, everyone says it's fine being 10 points behind City in like March or February because they can just win 17 games in a row. De Bruyne is the number one reason because of that. He turns up when it matters at the back end of the season. And yes, he's the most expensive out of them, but in my eyes, he's a top 5 Premier League player of all time. So I think he has to be number one for me. For me, he has to be number one. A Company, I mean, I just think he's apart from Van Dijk in terms of like an anomaly. The centre backs in this era don't really have that much impact. I get it's Company. He's an absolute.
I think defending was a lot easier as well. I will admit that.
Defending in general in football, it's much easier to defend than it is to score goals. I think, like as a team, as a manager, when a new manager comes into a team, the first thing that they often do is keep more clean sheets because that's the foundation. It's the easiest thing to do. So that's why I had Company fourth. I mean, I get he's the cheapest out of them, right? And obviously he kind of kick-started the whole Sheikh Mansour era.
But also putting him forward doesn't downplay anything that he's had. Like his influence as a leader kind of influenced like the entire team's mentality and that whole physical culture. Because he was like he also had like a couple clutch moments as well. Like I think it was like the 2012 where they had like there was a game against
Man United, wasn't it?
I think he had like a last minute header. I'm not sure what the team was, but he was really pivotal for them as well, like all the way from 2010 to 2012. So his like entire like leadership and defensive ability like arguably made him like one of the best in like the league's history. So and he kind of laid the foundation for the club's future success. But at the same time, if we're looking at like proper value and impact, realistically, I'd say the other three are higher.
I think impact is the main. If you're judging on impact, De Bruyne has to be first for me.
Okay, so that was actually quite debatable. So we had different opinions, and once again, went 2v2 basically. Okay, so now we're moving on to the future a little bit here with. A lot of young players in our generation are absolutely cooking it right now compared to what it was when we were younger. Which one of the following 4 players do we think will retire with the bigger legacy? I think legacy is the key word here. Jude Bellingham, who's only 22 right now. Erling Haaland, who's 25. Kylian Mbappe, who's 26. And Lamine Yamal, who's only 18 yet. Such a big player in the game. Who will retire with the bigger legacy? I think it's a lot of mixture. So to start with, I've got Bellingham first. Varun and Daniel have him last, and Deva, you have him third. So I'll start with why Bellingham I think is the best. I think I'll do more on why the others I don't think are going to be as high legacy. First of all, I think Mbappe, he will be France's top scorer very soon, as soon as he overtakes Giroud, which is, I don't think he's got that much left. I think he will develop a very good legacy at Real Madrid, don't get me wrong. But I think France have got a lot of competition in the next few years to win World Cups and Euros, because I think the Spain team is exceptional, which means Lamine Yamal should be higher in my order. That would make sense. But yeah, Lamine Yamal's biggest negative, I think, is that he's playing right wing for Barcelona, which constantly you'll get compared to Messi. And I think on that basis, I don't think he'll achieve as much as Messi. There's just something that's telling me he won't achieve as much as Messi, which means you'll always have that against you throughout your whole career. Like, oh, is he as good as Messi non-stop? He's had that since he's broken through, I think, at Barcelona. Haaland, I've got last just because ultimately he's a very good goal scorer. I think he will go to Barcelona in the next few years to replace Lewandowski. You'll have the Haaland against Mbappe kind of war about to come in. If it does, then it'll be amazing. Which is also why I think Mbappe's... I haven't got him first. I've got Bellingham first because I think Mbappe's stock will decrease a little bit because of Haaland going to Barcelona. And unfortunately for Haaland, Norway, I'm sorry, but you're not going to win anything internationally. So the other three, I've got really good shouts of winning something internationally in the next few years. I hate England winning anything, but I think there's a genuine chance they might actually win something in the next few years. Although I think it will be majority Spain. So on that basis, Bellingham, I think already, even though Mbappe's got the most followers on Instagram and everything, Bellingham is becoming a really big brand. He's going to become like, I don't know, all the girls fancy him. He's such like iconic name. He's got to Real Madrid at a young age, everything. Like he's becoming a brand. And maybe he'll be like Beckham. It won't be necessarily about the football, but necessarily about the outer football stuff. The most similar list to mine, I think, is probably Deva, I want to say, like to an extent. Like we got Haaland last, I guess.
You've got Haaland last and Mbappe second. Yeah. We just got Yamal and Bellingham.
So why have we got Yamal first, Bellingham third?
Yeah, I've got Yamal first, partly because I hope that his legacy is going to go that big. But at the same time, he has by far the most amount of time compared to everyone else because he's only just turned 18.
We're predicting the next 20 years here, essentially.
He's only just turned 18. He's won the La Liga with Barcelona already. He got Euros Young Player of the Year, I think, at the last one. I want to say, having assisted in the final and scored an absolute screamer in the semi-final. And he's already at, a top 2 biggest club in the world in terms of if you want to improve your legacy, right? It's Barca or Real Madrid if you want your legacy to go absolutely boom. And I think Barcelona will just win the league this year, and if they make the right signings, they could create a dynasty similar to what they had when they had Messi. I really do think that because they've got the best midfielder in the world, Pedri. They've got Yamal already. Rafinha's coming into his own form. They've got young defender in Kubasi who's just incredible for his age. Of course, Real Madrid have the Galacticos, but I think it will take more time for them to find out how it works because they've signed players from. They might still get Davies in a couple of years' time. You never know. So and I think Yamal's obviously he's from a nation that you can see winning things in the future. Spain they looked really good at the last Euros. I can't see why they can't look incredible again, especially with the likes of Rodri coming in back from injury. So that was my reasoning for Yamal first. I had and Mbappe. I had to put Mbappe second because he's achieved so much already. A World Cup final hat trick, signing for Madrid in the manner that he did as well, waiting his time out of PSG, already having, Mbappe's already got like a 170 odd million pound transfer to his name. So, in terms of status, like he's got to be top 2 for me.
Do you mind if I ask you both a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Since you've both gone for was it Yamal or Bellingham? Out of these 4 currently, who do you think has a head start for a better legacy?
Mbappe. Mbappe achieved the most.
Correct. So who do you think is more seasoned? Because you want to talk about, because first of all, I think it's way too early to determine if Yamal's going to have a better legacy. Because compared to the other 3, even though I don't have Yamal last, the other 3 players at least they have a lot of years of experience and winners like high-ending medals on their side to support their argument if they're going to have better legacies. Like obviously, I want to go with Yamal saying that he's on he's playing. Well, he's had like a really good Euros campaign. He performed really well in the Champions League last year. But at the same time, if you want to look at who's going to have a bigger legacy, like I don't think any of these guys actually match up to Mbappe because He already has a World Cup. I think his World Cup final performance actually outshines any performance Yamal's had. He's had multiple domestic titles, both with with PSG and Monaco. He's surpassed a lot of international major milestones. He's the top, I think he's the top scorer for PSG, isn't he? He ended up becoming. I think he overtook Cavani at the end of this year. And like if you want to talk about like culture and iconic, like Harry, you mentioned in our previous debates about like the France song. Like he is a global brand. He's a brand
I agree.
more than any of these players. Like,
but on your basis, right, Mbappe became a big thing. How old was he when he left Monaco? Like 9. I think he was older than Yamal is now.
He's older than Yamal is now.
So we can easily say Yamal's already achieved more than I think Mbappe did when he was at Monaco.
But we're talking about current. Like you can't compare Monaco.
But I'm saying the age. The age is still such a big potential. If Mbappe did that much, why can't Yamal do that much in the same time?
But because I'm talking about Mbappe right now. Like even though you can say Yamal's going to achieve that much now,
this is who's going to end with a bigger legacy.
Player,
you are speculating.
Legacy, it will be Mbappe. He just has more on his CV.
He's got less time than Yamal, of course, but and he's already done it. You're right, but
Mbappe's a grown man. Compared to
Yamal. If that's your point, then he shouldn't be on this list because I don't think it's even comparable to put him next to Yamal or Bellingham or even Haaland. Actually, to be fair,
the whole thing is
similar age, I think. But
Yamal is already Yamal is arguably the best player in the world at 18.
Yeah,
I think he is the best player in the world. I think
he's second to Mbappe. I'm sorry. I know I'm a Barca fan, but Mbappe won the Golden Boot in his first season with Real Madrid. It's a completely new league.
He was a huge reason they didn't do that well in the Champions League this year.
Yamal won't win the Golden Boot.
We're talking about an individual talent. These are all individual players. So I'm going to mention Mbappe on his own. On his own, he's achieved insane records. Like, I don't think, if you even want to talk about players from the age of 18 to 20, he's actually, apart from Messi and Ronaldo, he's actually up there with like the most decorated like young talents in the world, like prospects of football. Because he was like on the brink, or Madrid wanted him for like 6-7 years now. Like ever since he was in Monaco, I think Florentino Perez actually made like a very early bid for him when he was in that 16-17 season with Monaco, and then they just kept going back and forth. But then ever since then, he has been up there. He's been number one. I
personally, because he's been a PSG for so long, that's affected.
Are you saying he's been the best player in the world?
Say that again?
You're saying he's been number one. What does that actually mean? You're saying he's been the best player in the world since
number one amongst these guys in terms of influence, culture, iconicness, everything. I think he's gonna have a bigger legacy. For now, anyways, I'm just seeing based on what I've seen. I can't, obviously our predictions could go sideways, but all I'm saying is based on what they've already achieved, I think he's head over shoulders over someone like Yamal or what he's achieved already.
Yamal's had he's had like 3 senior careers and he's won 2 La Ligas and a Euros while playing a pivotal part in 1 La Liga and a
Euros. Being crucial in it as well, yeah.
He's incredibly decorated for a man that's just turned 18.
No, you're a man.
Oh yeah, I'm not denying it. But also, Harry, you mentioned earlier about Bellingham's brand. I don't think a player's brand will personally go far. If
the legacy, I think, is quite important. If
the team doesn't do well, his brand's not going to go very far. And if
Real Madrid will do well.
We're speculating that they will do well.
But more than Real Madrid, I think, as much as it pains me to say this, I think England surprisingly will win quite a lot in the future, and I think he'll be a crucial part of that because I think Spain and England are better than France right now. I think even French people probably agree with that to an extent. France might do a little bit better now because they got youngsters from the PSG team coming in. But Spain, for me, are the best international team right now in the world. England, as much as it pains me to say, are actually quite good. Especially now they got Gareth Southgate. Now he's going to go. Thomas Tuchel, I think he'll do something with the England team to make them actually win something. And I can guarantee if they do win something, Bellingham will be probably player of the top.
Yeah. I just want to.
All right. So also, Varun, I agree with you that I think that Mbappe will have the best legacy, but I want to play devil's advocate a bit. I think that what's holding Mbappe back is that he hasn't got a Ballon d'Or yet.
I agree.
He should.
Whereas Yamal,
I think he could.
To win a lot of Ballon d'Ors during that time. Like
He could win it this
I
year.
will be very surprised if by the time that Yamal reaches the age that Mbappe is now, he doesn't have one. I will be very
I would be
surprised.
surprised if he doesn't have 3, to be honest.
But you
That's
say like
awesome.
Yamal's chances are increasingly high. They're both competing in the same league. They both have extremely strong teams. Like they both have been.
You just said
successful.
Barcelona are going to win the league again.
No, but Yamal's
Yeah, he said it,
done
but
more with his nation this year.
I'm not going to say Barca's going to win the league every single year for the next 10 years because
I think they've got a good chance of doing it.
Madrid
No, they've got a better chance of that than Madrid.
They will be strong. It's Real Madrid at the end of the day, and we know how
No,
they are.
ultimately, it's not about the league, though. It's like it's whoever wins the Champions League. Really.
No, but we're talking about legacy. So trophies.
No. But no, I'm on a Ballon d'Or here. Ballon d'Or winners typically, unfortunately, you have to do very well in the Champions League for it. So whoever wins out of those two in the Champions League
will refer on collective trophies as well, correct?
Of course, no, yeah. It's not like
So,
I don't know if anyone's ever won it without winning the league and winning the Champions League. I don't know if that's a
What? The Ballon d'Or?
anyone's won the Ballon d'Or by winning the Champions League, but not their league. I don't think that's happened recently.
well, there are players who haven't won the Champions League, but have won.
I mean, that's happened with Ronaldo, yeah.
Yeah.
Back in
It's
2015.
They're not
popularity
that.
contest.
I think Real Madrid must have not won a league a few times.
Listen, the Ballon d'Or's meaning less and less these years anyway.
It is.
It's just,
Like
it's just people vote. Like Thogden nearly got a vote. Like,
What? Really?
what are we doing here? Yeah, Thogden nearly got a vote as like I can't even remember what nation it was, but like,
oh, as in he
Yeah.
voted. No, he didn't get the vote to be.
That's what I thought.
whoa.
Player legacy has been finished, but manager legacy wise, which of these managers who we all saw play growing up, which one of them will finish with a bigger legacy? Mikel Arteta, Xabi Alonso, Vincent Kompany, and Cesc Fabregas. Okay, so me and Daniel got the exact same order, I think. Yep.
And Deva and Varun have got the same order.
And yeah, Deva and Varun have got the exact same order. Wow. Okay, 2v2 again. Everyone's got Alonso, Arteta too. That's perfect. It's just okay. Fabregas and Company been switched around for a few of us. Varun, why do you think Company is better than Cesc?
I just think so for now I think he has he has a bigger promise in terms of leadership with the teams that he's managed so far. So I think as Burnley's manager, he guided them back into the Premier League, and he also he instilled a lot of resilience and identity into that team. And I think his reputation as a commanding leader and defender from his career could kind of carved that team into a well defensive side like they were. Even though it's the Bundesliga, I think he's kind of replicated that high level success with Bayern as well. And I have to bring him back to the Burnley thing because he kind of sustained good stability in the Premier League as well. And I feel like looking at that kind of changed his legacy and promise of what he's going to be or what he's going to become with Bayern. So I think that's very underrated and it was very influential as well. So he's a really strong figure and he's definitely going to grow over time. So yeah, that's why I have him third.
Okay, Daniel, why have you got Fabregas over Company then? Why have you agreed with me?
Yeah, so I think with Fabregas it's way too early to tell because I mean with all of them it's way too early to tell, but Fabregas we haven't actually seen at the top level yet, whereas we've already seen the others at top level. But I think that Company is I just don't rate him as a manager. I mean earlier on I mentioned that I really liked him as a player, but as a manager, so he basically started at Anderlecht as a player manager where they were god awful. They finished 6th or 7th in during his season there. Then he went to Burnley where he won the league with I think record point total.
Yeah, I think
maybe,
it was record. Yeah, which is quite
yeah,
good.
it was. He set some sort of record. Second season he got relegated, which is already bad for his CV. If you look at any of the top managers, none of them really have a relegation on their portfolio. And then, if he had not got that move to Bayern, which I think shocked everyone when
He was, I think, 10th in the list of ones that they wanted, so he was really low down.
He fell upwards incredibly.
It was a
highly.
weird move. And I mean, let's not forget that. I mean, last year they won the Bundesliga, but they didn't really have much competition.
Leverkusen before, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and they did not do great in the Champions League.
But he did beat Xabi Alonso, which we've all got first. You could say that.
I mean, yeah, but that was a different Leverkusen team to the one the year prior. After the Atalanta game in the final of the Europa League, Leverkusen have not been the same team that went unbeaten for, what was it, 54 games in a row or something. So I don't think you can compare them. Like this year, they've already started with a loss in their first game, Leverkusen. So I
It is
don't
hard,
know.
so it's,
Yeah, and I mean yesterday, Bayern actually had to get a last-minute winner against a third-tier against a third-tier side in SV Wehen, I think is what it's called. So I mean, he is not as dominant as he should be with that Bayern team.
But would you say he's been more dominant than Fabregas?
No, so what I meant to say is that he's not achieving the success that he should be achieving with that Bayern team. Whereas Fabregas, he was in the same position as him when he got promoted with Como, and
he finished 10th.
he got he got mid-table,
which is very impressive. Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and he the players that have been developing in Como, and I mean the project in general is very good. Players like Martin Baturin who they signed this year, like Nico Pass and some others have been exceptional. And I think that Cesc Fabregas is building like a team which could be very dominant in the future, or if it doesn't become dominant, he could go to another team and just establish his philosophy there. But yeah, I think the two managers are very far away from Xabi Alonso and Arteta.
Oh yeah.
If Arteta wins the Premier League this season, would we have him above Alonso?
No.
No.
Considering how poor the Arsenal team was, that he improved it from.
I don't think any of these.
He built the project very well. You got to admit it. From a very low Arsenal side to the best in the country would be amazing.
But it has taken a while, and I don't think any of these guys are matching Alonso's achievement with Leverkusen.
That's the invincible thing is hard.
An almost invincible treble. Like I don't think anyone else is really getting close to that as of yet. I mean, it could happen later down the line, but
I'm just curious. Did Alonso were the Leverkusen team where did they finish before they won the league? Like before the year they won the league?
When he took over, they were really low. I think they were like 16th. And then he took them and got them top 4. No, not top 4, top 6.
They got 5th.
Yeah, 5th. Yeah.
So they got Europa League.
So to get them from 16th to 5th in itself is impressive.
They had no right to do what they did in the Bundesliga. They it was.
They had the players. They were just underperforming. To be fair, whereas Arteta, you could say their team I think was a lot worse on paper.
Although one thing you could say about Arsenal is I think they have been on a steady decline. Like in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, I think 2022, 2023. This is the first season that Arsenal really stepped up. I think that was the best iteration of any Arteta.
No. I think 23, 24. The following year they should have
really,
because Liverpool bottled it. City were really not that good the whole year, and they ended up winning the league. Whereas 22-23, they had a chance. You're right. They had a huge chance. They bottled it. That's the bottle last. But
I think if you're looking at it as the best Arsenal team, I think that was the best Arsenal team. I think the football that they played that year was just ridiculous.
They brought in 2 players, I think, in 23-24. I forgot who it was. That summer, those players have really helped them mature from naivety. They brought David Raya and someone else. But David Raya Ramsdale was a messy goalkeeper. They made that position steady. They brought in Julian Timber, who was injured the whole year, but now he's being epic.
Timber's looking good, isn't he?
Their midfield is epic. 23-24, they had a huge chance. They lost it because they conceded a goal to Ollie Watkins in the third last game of the season. But they went pretty unbeaten the whole back end of the season. And they only lost the league because Heung-min Son didn't finish a chance against Man City. Otherwise, they would have won the Premier League. This year, I've got them down as league winners. I still think they can do it, but it's all on if he doesn't win the league. However, I think he could. I don't think he'll get sacked, but it could affect the CV a little bit. But I still think Arteta, he could get a big job in the future. I think if Barcelona eventually want to leave with Hansi Flick, I don't know, because Flick wants to go back in Germany or whatever, or Bayern Munich, then I think Arteta would do well with Barcelona. And he's got Barcelona links as well, I think.
Arteta cannot manage Barcelona.
We're happy with Flick.
That can't happen.
I think Fabregas and Arteta both have Barcelona links, so one of them could...
I think Fabregas is infinitely more likely to get the Barcelona job than Arteta is. Because
I would give it to Arteta.
It's not the way that Barcelona play. Arteta's style of football is not the way Barcelona play at all. Fabregas, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't watched that much Como, but from what I've seen and what I imagine Fabregas's playstyle to be, it suits Barcelona way more than Arteta's playstyle does. if that makes sense.
Okay, that was pretty good. So let's have a analysis on who we think. I mean, we had pretty similar orders anyway, so I don't think there's much points deserved here at all because we basically agreed with each other. But yeah, thank you guys for watching the first episode of On the Spot. We will be coming back with this with different football debates related to whatever happens in the news. I'll also be doing this with tennis fans, cricket fans, Formula One fans, everything. So definitely check it out again. But thank you very much from these guys for taking part. Leave your comments down below on who you think won, because they might have different opinions completely to the ones that we had here. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll catch you guys all later.